We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Reserve Bank of India enters its 90th year of monetary policy making and regulating banks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends celebrations recognizing its strong foundation. Celebration erupts in Istanbul as Turkey's main opposition party declares victory in pivotal municipality elections. Big blow to President Erdogan, who says party to carry out self-critique.
Period of one-man rule is over as of today. It is done.
US and Israel to hold a meeting on Rafah on Monday, while Gaza ceasefire talks also resume in Cairo, even as fighting rages around Gaza's biggest hospital. On to the details now. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hit out at Tamil Nadu's political party DMK for failing to safeguard the interest of Tamil Nadu. Prime Minister said that new details show DMK's double standards on Kacheevu Island issue. Prime Minister posted on social media platform X, and I quote, "Rhetoric aside, DMK has done nothing to safeguard Tamil Nadu's interest. New details emerging on Kacheevu have unmasked the DMK's double standards totally. Congress and DMK are family units. They only care that their own sons and daughters rise. They don't care for anyone else. Their callousness on Kacheevu issue has harmed the interest of a poor fishermen and fisher women in particular," unquote. And India's External Affairs Minister and senior BJP leader Dr. S. Jaishankar today hit out at Congress and Tamil Nadu's political party DMK over their handling of Kacheevu issue. India's External Affairs Minister said that it is an issue which has been very much debated in Parliament and in the Tamil Nadu circles. He added that in the last 5 years, Kacheevu issue and the fishermen's issue have been repeatedly raised by various parties in the Parliament. Giving a background of the issue, Jaishankar said that in the last 20 years, 6,184 Indian fishermen have been detained by Sri Lanka and 1,175 Indian fishing vessels have been seized, detained or apprehended by Sri Lanka.
This is not an issue which has suddenly surfaced. This is a live issue. It is an issue which has been very much debated in Parliament, in Tamil Nadu circles as well. It has been the subject of correspondence between the union government and the state government. Now, every political party in Tamil Nadu has taken a position on this. Two parties, the Congress and the DMK, have approached this matter as though they have no responsibility for it.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar's remarks on Kacheevu Island triggered a reaction from Congress. The Congress party said that the Indira Gandhi Sirimavo Bandaranaike agreement was signed to save 600,000 Tamils at that time.
Government of India, headed by Mrs. Indira Gandhi ji, has signed an agreement called Indira Gandhi Sirimavo Bandaranaike agreement. In that time, to save 6 lakh Tamils. To save them, in return, this 6 Kacheevu Islanders given by the government of India and to the Sri Lankan government. We are very clear that if fishermen are attacked and if our brothers in fishermen in Ramnad district are attacked, we will, India government, we will raise our voice to take back Kacheevu.
Well, the power of India's supersonic cruise missile BrahMos was witnessed during weekend over the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Indian Army tested the capability of BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, striking the long-range target with precision and lethality. The long-range surface-to-air and air-to-air missiles were tested with state-of-the-art technology. During this time, the entire sky above the island group became as bright as the day. The BrahMos supersonic cruise missile is a medium-range weapon that can be launched from ships, submarines, fighter aircraft or transporter erector launcher. Recognized as the best and fastest precision-guided weapon globally, BrahMos has significantly bolstered India's deterrence capabilities in the 21st century. And the Indian Air Force is conducting the Pan-India exercise Gagan Shakti from today. The aim of the exercise is to test the real-time coordination, deployment and employment of air power in a short and intense battle scenario. IAF will be exercising its entire war-fighting machinery to validate its concept of operations and war-waging capability. The focus of the exercise is to check the viability of operational plans. Gagan Shakti 2024 will see the Air Force carry out drills in coordination with the Army and Navy. All fighter aircraft, newly inducted assets, transport aircrafts, radars, air defense systems will be utilized in a new network-centric environment. The logistic stamina of the IAF and its ability to sustain continuous operations through day and night will be tested. Meanwhile, the Army Commanders Conference is currently underway in Delhi. The apex leadership of the Army is deliberating upon the emerging threat scenario, operational challenges, reforms and plans for modernization. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will be addressing the conference on Tuesday. One of the key items on the agenda will be cybersecurity, integration with other services and futuristic warfare technologies. Welfare of ex-servicemen, administrative and reforms will also figure. The Army Commanders Conference, the first for the year 2024, was held in virtual mode on March 28th and thereafter the two-day physical mode begins on Monday. Well, the Commander-in-Chief of the Thai Naval Admiral Adung Pam Lam is visiting India and is holding talks with the Navy Chief Admiral Hari Kumar on maritime cooperation between the two nations. He was accorded a ceremonial Tri-Service Guard of Honor in Delhi. He also paid homage to the fallen heroes at the National War Memorial. Moving on, a Delhi court on Monday sent Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal to judicial custody until April 15th in a money laundering case linked to liquor policy. The Delhi CM was arrested in the Delhi excise policy linked money laundering case on the 21st of March. The investigative team filed a remand request on Thursday, claiming they need more time to question Kejriwal. And now let's get you the latest on world's largest democratic election in India. Well, BJP Manifesto Committee meeting will be held on Monday. The first meeting of the committee will be held at the Central BJP office under the chairmanship of Rajnath Singh. On Saturday, BJP National President JP Nadda had formed a 27-member manifesto committee for the Lok Sabha elections. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has been made the convener of this committee. On the other hand, the Central Election Committee of India's Congress Party today held a meeting in New Delhi. The meeting was attended by Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress Parliamentary Party Chairperson Sonia Gandhi and General Secretary K.C. Venugopal. The meeting discussed the issue related to India's parliamentary elections. Senior Congress leaders of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana were also present in this meeting. And Congress party is expected to announce the names of its Lok Sabha candidates for Bihar and Odisha on Monday. The Central Election Committee of the Congress met on March 31st to discuss the names. As part of the Grand Alliance with Rashtriya Janata Dal and the left parties, the Congress will contest 9 Lok Sabha seats. In Odisha, names for 18 out of the 21 Lok Sabha seats are said to have been discussed. So far, the Congress has announced the names of 211 candidates. Well, a total of over 1.064 million advance applications from the age group of 17 and above, in fact, from those who just be eligible for voting in 2024, have been received by the Election Commission of India. The participation of youth in the elections in India has seen a rise over the years. Here's a report for more.
इतना कुछ किस लिए?
Image building. What else?
पर वोट नहीं डाला आपने।
वोट क्या फायदा?
नेशन बिल्डिंग। और हाँ, इसमें इतना टाइम भी नहीं लगता।
ख्याल बदलेगा तभी तो देश बदलेगा।
Renowned actor Rajkumar Rao attempting to encourage young voters to perform the most important duty of a democratic nation, casting the vote in elections. Himself a young actor, Rajkumar took over as national icon for voter awareness and education for the Election Commission of India in October 2023. The video is part of Election Commission of India's campaign Mera Pehla Vote Desh Ke Liye, that is, my first vote for the nation.
Calling upon the 200 million voters in the age group of 18 to 29 years to vote and be part of the largest democratic exercise.
In April 2023, India surpassed China to become the most populous nation in the world. And this also brings into focus the immense demographic dividend that India is all set to reap. An overwhelming majority of India's 1.4 billion plus population is below 35 years of age. The same youthful energy will also reflect in this 2024 general polls too.
India has witnessed an increase of 6% in registered voters as compared to 2019, and the share of young voters can't be overlooked. Over 20 million young electors spanning the age groups between 18 to 19 years and 20 to 29 years have been added to the electoral rolls. As per ECI data, electors under the age group of 18 to 19 years are 18.5 million. The corresponding figure in 2019 was 15 million. Voters under the age groups of 20 to 29 years are 197.4 million.
To facilitate youth enrollment at the constituency level, Special Assistant Electoral Registration Officers or AEROs were appointed for the registrations. Youth were enrolled directly from educational institutions, fostering greater civic engagement among the younger populace. The surge in numbers is also reflected in the Indian political matrix. Political parties in India have started focusing more on issues relevant to the youth, such as education, employment, and technology. The emergence of young leaders in politics has also inspired other young people to engage in the political process. When youth see themselves represented in political leadership positions, they are more likely to believe that their voices matter and that they can make a difference through electoral participation. While there has been progress in increasing youth participation in elections in India, continued efforts from political parties, civil society organizations, educational institutions, and the government are essential to sustain and enhance youth engagement in the democratic process. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, now let's tell you about India's Project Tiger, which was established in response to the alarming decline in the population of tigers. Over the past 50 years, the Project Tiger, which was launched on 1st April 1973, has achieved a commendable success, making significant strides in tiger conservation. India is the home to the world's largest population of the magnificent tiger. According to estimates, the tiger population of India is over 3,500, which makes India home to over 70% of all the tiger population in the world. A major credit for this incredible feat also goes to a project launched 52 years back. The Government of India has launched Project Tiger on 1st April 1973 to promote conservation of the tiger and biodiversity. Project Tiger has been the largest species conservation initiative of its kind in the world. Over the past 50 years, Project Tiger has achieved commendable success, making significant strides in tiger conservation. Initially covering 9 tiger reserves, spanning around 18,000 square kilometers, the project has flourished into a remarkable accomplishment with 53 reserves spread across over 75,000 square kilometers, effectively covering 2.3% of India's total land area. Currently, the largest tiger population of 785 is in Madhya Pradesh, followed by Karnataka 563, Uttarakhand 560 and Maharashtra 444. The Government of India has taken several measures to save tigers under Project Tiger initiative. Measures taken under Project Tiger: protection of tiger habitats, anti-poaching measures, community involvement, monitoring and research, collaborations with other countries, implementation of laws and regulations. India has achieved several key outcomes by implementing Project Tiger. Increase in tiger population from an estimated 2,200 in 2018 to over 3,600 in 2024. Habitat conservation, ecological balance, community involvement. Continued efforts to protect tiger habitats and corridors are crucial for securing the future of India's tigers and their ecosystems for generations to come. Akshay Dongre reporting for DD India. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Cleanup efforts underway to clean up thousands of tons of steel debris from the collapsed bridge in Baltimore's harbour. Flawless Jannik Sinner wins the Miami Open for the first time in the rise to world number 2. And adults ride big wheels down curvy San Francisco road.
As the cycle of accountability returns, the time has come when the biggest democracy chooses to write another chapter in its glorious history. Development, justice, regionalism, a big political canvas. Everything will be put to test in this mega battle for glory. DD India dissects what makes elections 2024 the battle royale in Indian politics. Data and analysis free from bias to help you understand why India matters. The Great Indian Election on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, Reserve Bank of India enters its 90th year of monetary policy making and regulating banks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the commemorative celebrations in Mumbai. PM Modi, in his address, congratulated everyone associated with the RBI for this milestone. He said when India is heading for a centenary, RBI has significant role in making Viksit Bharat a success.
देश के बैंकिंग सेक्टर में, उसके स्ट्रक्चर में क्या बदलाव जरूरी है, इस पर हमें सोचना होगा. इसमें हमें नए फाइनेंसिंग, ऑपरेटिंग एंड बिजनेस मॉडल्स की आवश्यकता हो सकती है. ग्लोबल चैंपियंस की क्रेडिट जरूरतों से लेकर रेहड़ी पटरी वालों तक की जरूरत को, कटिंग एज सेक्टर से लेकर ट्रेडिशनल सेक्टर तक की जरूरतों को हम पूरा कर सकें, ये विकसित भारत के लिए बहुत जरूरी है. विकसित भारत के बैंकिंग विजन के इस पूरे अध्ययन के लिए रिजर्व बैंक बहुत उपयुक्त संस्था है.
Also, Prime Minister Modi in his address mentioned about UPI, which has been a globally recognized and efficient platform. He also said that the country needs to have policies so that there is ease of banking system where artificial intelligence also should be used. He added RBI can become a model for the world, and in the next 10 years, we should increase self-reliance of India's economy as we are already leaving a mark in global growth.
The Reserve Bank's evolution as an institution has been closely intertwined with the development of the Indian economy. From being a central bank primarily concerned with allocation of scarce resources during the planning period, the Reserve Bank has transitioned into being an enabler for the market economy. We are a full-service central bank with our functions spanning multiple dimensions. It has been our endeavor to promote a financial sector that is robust, resilient, and future-ready.
And India correspondent Shama Mishra joins us for more from Mumbai. Well, Shama, a significant day today. We heard Prime Minister's address a little while ago. How is this historic event of celebrating 90 years planned? If you could shed light on that.
Well, Lipakshi, for starters, we understand that the Governor of RBI, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and everyone who have addressed at this particular 90 years commemorative event have been using one tone, which is RBI should be future ready, because India is fast moving and India is the fastest growing economy, and the central bank should be ready for the movement accordingly. So that is already done. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has already hailed UPI as a globally recognized platform. Also, he has mentioned one important point over here, that is, we are seeing that globally there are certain shocks coming in every, now and then, including the Ukraine-Russia war, then the Palestine and Hamas, these Israel war. Apart from there, then we have also seen a pandemic. Certain shocks should not come to India and, affect us badly. For that, RBI has to be ready, the entire nation has to be ready. So we have to be financially Atmanirbhar. We have to be financially self-reliant, and that is one takeaway from here, where RBI now steps in for celebrating its 100 years, and also India by 2047, because India is aiming by 2047, it will be a Viksit Bharat, it will be a developed nation. So RBI is going to play a huge role, an important role. Apart from that, apart from this commemorative event, the entire year would be a celebration for RBI, because they'll be involving many people who are, in the rural areas, who are not financially included. So RBI, through their campaigns, through activities, they'll be holding seminars, workshops, campaigns, and they'll be educating all the people in the rural areas as well, and they'll be making them financially independent. Back to you.
All right. Also, Prime Minister mentioned about the key milestones of RBI over the years. Could you tell us a little more on that?
For starters, we understand that RBI, since 1935, it has been into operations, and we have seen many huge milestone events that has happened, including the RBI issuing the notes, RBI issuing the currency, then several other financially revolutionizing events have happened. We are understanding that once the inflation rises, it will affect everybody in the nation. It will affect a common citizen. So RBI has been given an important work to moderate the inflation. And we have been seeing that through MPC, through Monetary Policy Committee and bi-monthly announcements. We have been seeing that RBI has been, handling this particular situation very well. We are also understanding that RBI helps in boosting the growth of the nation. So these two are the major events, roles of RBI that it is playing since a long time. Apart from that, Prime Minister has mentioned that, a decade ago, we were seeing that the banking sector was not so robust. But today, the Indian banking sector stands robust, and, the people have their faith in it. The international investors also have faith in the Indian financial system, in the Indian banking system. So that is how in just one decade the entire scenario has changed, and that is how we are understanding that the central bank, among all the world's central bank, our central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, has been playing a key role, a major role, in supporting the policies, in hand-holding the entire economical situation of the country, and with that, by moderating inflation, it is also helping the common people of the country.
Yes, RBI has definitely played a transformative role as far as the Indian economy is concerned, as the Prime Minister mentioned. Thank you so much, Shama, for joining us and giving us those details. And moving on, in Turkey, the main opposition party secured substantial victories in Sunday's local elections, maintaining control over crucial cities. The results showcase the Republican People's Party retaining its grip on key urban areas. And the United States and Israel are expected to hold a virtual meeting on Monday to discuss the Biden administration's alternative proposals to an Israeli military offensive off Rafah. Meanwhile, Gaza ceasefire talks resumed once again in Cairo on Sunday, even as fighting rages around Gaza's biggest hospital, Al-Aqsa. Egypt is hosting an Israeli delegation for a new round of talks in a bid to secure a truce with Gaza's Hamas rulers. And efforts are underway to clean up thousands of tons of steel debris from the collapsed bridge in Baltimore's harbor. Equipment on hand includes 7 floating cranes, 10 tugboats, 9 barges, 8 salvage vessels, and 5 Coast Guard boats. Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed early morning on March 26, killing 6 road workers when a container ship nearly the size of the Eiffel Tower lost power and crashed into a support pylon. Much of the span crashed into the Patapsco River, blocking the port of Baltimore's shipping channel. And in sports and tennis, Italy's Jannik Sinner won the ATP Miami Open Masters 1000 title on Sunday. Sinner dominated Grigor Dimitrov 6-3, 6-1 to win the Miami Open for the first time and rise to world number 2. The 22-year-old will take over the world number 2 ranking from his rival Carlos Alcaraz on Monday. And San Franciscans of all ages gathered for an annual tricycle race over the weekend. Take a look. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Thanks for watching DD India Live.